Hey guys, it's Aaron, the home for mobile reviews A.C, and today I'm going to do a review of the Lunatik Taktik 360. This is one of Lunatik's newest waterproof tough cases, and I have to say it's one of my favorite cases because I don't ever use the volume buttons much, so it doesn't really matter to me if I can't get to them. I don't ever talk to anybody through my phone, so it doesn't really matter if there's any call quality, and the entire thing squeaks, so I'm not really concerned that I spent $120 on this really tough case. But hey, it's funded through Indiegogo, and according to Lunatik, it's designed to be indestructible, sort of. The Lunatik Taktik 360 looks like a tank of a case, feels like a tank of a case, but is far from being a tank for your actual iPhone. Access to your iPhone inside the case is suboptimal. The protection offered by the 360 is very average to sight, again, being indestructible, but it does come with a nice screen protector. Based on my time with the waterproof Lunatik Taktik 360, I've given it a score 3.4 A's out of 5. This is one of the lowest rated tough cases that I've come across. In fact, this is as bad as the OtterBox Defender, the first generation that I reviewed for the iPhone 6. It's a far cry from the LifeProof and Catalyst waterproof cases, as well as the Tulis Atmos X5. If you're looking for comparison for all my waterproof cases that I've reviewed, check out my website.
Real usage, real reviews. Mobile Reviews A.ca.
At Mobile Reviews A.ca, we base everything we do on actual usage. So we've been using this case for a while. We've done a couple of drops. We've done the water test, but then we decided to take it one step further because, well, the Lunatik Taktik Extreme that we used for our iPhone 5s, we threw that 40 feet in the air and it was awesome. Lunatik decided to do some fundraising to Indiegogo, and being the passionate Lunatik fan that I am, I gave him some of my money and I waited a year for this. In terms of design, the Lunatik Taktik 360 is very large. I wasn't kidding when I said this was a tank for your iPhone. There are 4 parts to this case, and you got to snap a lot of things together, and at the end of the day, you also have to latch it shut using this tool. You could also use a coin if you really wanted to. The general build quality of the case looks decent, but there is really one thing that irks me about this tough case. This thing squeaks. Nothing like putting your $1,000 iPhone in this $120 case and have it make this noise. Now, I waited for an entire year for this squeaky tough case. Like, the Lunatik Taktik 360 does feel good in your hand despite its large size because of all its different textures on the case. The edges are quite nice and the rubber back is decent, though it will show scratches easily. For protection, Lunatik says the 360 is waterproof and drop proof to 6.6 feet or 2 meters. This indestructible case has the same rating as the LifeProof case that are quite flimsy, actually, if you just have them in your hand without an iPhone. And the Tulis Atmos X5, so really how tough/indestructible is it? I did a simple water test and a Lunatik pass since I was a fool and I bought into this indestructible marketing fluff. I decided to combine both the water and drop test into one by tossing it 12 feet into a bucket of water. The case definitely took a piece out of my bucket, but my iPhone ended up taking on water. Quite disappointing because I had really high expectations for the 360. I love the Taktik Extreme for the iPhone 5 and gave that a good toss. I was expecting something amazing for the 360, but was completely let down. I went and redid the empty iPhone waterproof case and noticed that water was coming in through the bottom of one of the speaker grills. Now, looking closely at the drop video, the bottom of the iPhone does hit the water first, so maybe that water pressure dislodged the membrane somehow. Still quite disappointed because I think an indestructible case should be able to withstand that sort of impact. Now, I do have to say that Lunatik says the case is compliant to IP68, which is 2 meters or 6.6 feet. So my 12 feet toss into a bucket of water is probably outside of the realms of IP68, but still, it's an indestructible case. Getting to your iPhone is a complete pain in the ass. The buttons on the 360 are so tough to use that there is no feedback whatsoever when you press them. I actually stopped using the iPhone 6s that was installed in this case despite having my main SIM card installed on that iPhone. That's how much I hated using my iPhone in this case. The mute switch is tough to access as trying to get to the tight knob gets frustrating very, very quickly. I was really hoping that it would stick with the vibe switch design that they used on the iPhone 5 Taktik Extremes, but hey, maybe they couldn't get that waterproof. Getting to the hardware ports on the case isn't difficult as the cutouts are large enough for third-party accessories. There isn't a waterproof headphone extension with this case, so rocking out to beats and keeping the case waterproof can only be done with a wireless headset. The metal latch takes a bit of getting used to as you need to remember to press the front of the snap into the case before closing it. This latching system just wreaks complete havoc on the sound coming from the 360. Taking phone calls with the case button up is nearly impossible as every single call I took I had to undo the latch. I was FaceTiming my wife and in order for her to hear me, I ended up having to take off the entire case. The Touch ID membrane works well and the screen protector allows you to access the entire iPhone's touchscreen. I've read several remarks about the gap in that screen protector and I'll be honest with you, it's not that bad because the entire screen protector is rigid, so there's no like air bubble bouncing kind of sensitivity loss. The sensitivity loss when compared compared to other waterproof cases is almost negligible. I do note that the edges on the case are quite high, which is great for protection, but they do get in the way of accessing the corners of the iPhone. Now, the best part of Lunatik Taktik 360 is the viewability of the iPhone. The glass screen protector keeps glare reflections to a minimum, though I do feel that the oleophobic coating on the screen protector could be a little stronger because grease smearing of the screen is pretty awful. Good thing you can wash it because it's waterproof. Sort of. So that's all I got for Lunatik Taktik 360. If you haven't figured it out, I'm not terribly impressed with this case. It took a year for them to deliver it to us, and I think some people were getting the Aquatics and the Taktik 360 before people were getting their Indiegogo rewards, that's kind of crappy, in my opinion, because I don't know, we do these crowdfunding things because we feel like we're going to get them first, but if you go to the Best Buy, I would have rather spent the $100 on something else, knowing that it was going to turn up like this, than having to wait and have everybody else go through it before me getting this case. Sorry, Lunatik. I'm not bitter at all, not at all. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section below, or you can find me on my website or through an email on my website. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, as well as Facebook. I'm Aaron the Ho. That's kind of all I got for this incredibly lackluster $120 case. Jeez! All right, thanks for watching.